5,258,880 minutes, 87,648 hours, 3,652 days, 120 months, 10 years. Let's think about this for a moment. The first 10 years of life are infancy to walking and talking, reading and writing, playing sports, listening to music, creating art, and discovering new things daily. From the age of 20 to 30, you get out of school, you get your first apartment or home, you have a job, you may meet somebody, you may be getting married, you may have children. At 30, your body starts to change some, but then your mind is more firm in who you are. A decade is a major amount of time for growth and education and human development. If you broke a bone, would you wait 10 years to have it fixed? In 10 years, that bone would heal on its own, but there would be a lot of pain. The bone would not heal back the way it was. It would forever be changed and would likely cause you daily pain and make simple tasks more difficult. Why would you wait 10 years to heal yourself and to ease your pain? And yet people do this all the time when it comes to their mental health. People are living in a decade of suffering in silence. NAMI's CEO, Daniel Gillison, states, the average delay of symptoms of onset of mental illness and treatment is 11 years. That means if someone is diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder at the age of 14, they are unlikely to receive help until the age of 25. So I'm here today to talk to you about my story of my decade and how I discovered healing. I was 21 years old. I was the life of the party, energetic, funny, engaging. I loved being around people. I was creative and busy. I would help anybody that needed it, and I was a shoulder to cry on. I was strong and independent, and at least that's what it looked like. But here's the secret this 21-year-old didn't share with anybody. She wasn't fun. She was scared. She was sad, and she was ready to end her life. Suicide was a daily daydream. I don't know why, but I dreamt about it, thought about it, wrote about it. The only thing I didn't do was tell anyone about it. And this wasn't just overnight. It began when I was 16, but I hid it really well. And I hid it because I didn't want to be judged or looked at as less. I just thought this is who I am, not that it could be fixed. I had panic attacks. I didn't know what they were. My very first scary panic attack was at 21, and I went to the emergency room, and they did the entire workup and told me I wasn't having a heart attack, that it was just anxiety. Just anxiety. I didn't tell them that for years I was wanting to die. I didn't tell them that I participated in non-suicidal self-injury. Most often people know that as cutting. I didn't say anything. I just left the hospital confused and alone. Mental illnesses can affect a person of any age, race, religion, or income. Mental illnesses are not the result of personal weakness, lack of character, or poor upbringing. Mental illnesses are treatable. Most people are diagnosed with a serious mental illness can experience relief from their symptoms by actively participating in individualized treatment plans. That's off of the NAMI website for 2023. Some days were better than others. Some days were not, but the thoughts never left my brain. If something went bad, I thought, you aren't the right person for this. You shouldn't be here. No one would miss you. No one would care. You are a burden. You don't do anything to help anybody. Words would get twisted in my mind. I'm a quitter. What's wrong with you? You're not the person you once were. Even after I went to the therapist, I was still alone. I never even told her how I really felt. I just refused to believe that anybody could help me with these ups and downs and swirling thoughts and this constant barrage of negative thoughts and images that I now know are called intrusive thoughts. Worldwide, 70% of young people and adults with mental illness do not receive any treatment from healthcare staff. So I just marched on, Sometimes the pain and sadness were so bad I just wanted to die. The only reason I didn't, I just kept telling myself, I didn't want my mom to find me like this, and I was scared. So I just hold myself really tight and rock back and forth and cry and sob and cry some more. And I would sob until the tears ran dry and my face was swollen and I was completely exhausted. I met my husband at 22. He was gentle, kind, pragmatic. He was my savior at the time. But even his love could not contain my emotions, and it should not be anyone's job to do that. The overflows, the outbursts, the sadness so dark I couldn't see the light, but he loved me, and I talked with him, and I told him things that nobody else knew. Then my daughter was born. She was a miracle, and beyond the most wonderful thing I'd ever laid my eyes on. She was perfect, but I couldn't enjoy it. Postpartum robbed me of normalcy. I still didn't understand what was happening to me. I was put on medication and it didn't help. It sent me over the edge. I stopped taking it. They put me on a different one. That one helped, but it wasn't great, but it wasn't perfect, but I just kept pushing forward. 5 years later, a friend referred me to a therapist. I still see her. She's amazing, kind, compassionate, and will definitely call you out on your BS. But she does it in a way that makes you feel like you need to be working on it and that it's okay. It was through treatment with her that I finally discovered a diagnosis and a plan of care, and that was for bipolar. I was apprehensive about starting medications. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to help me any. I was still having daily thoughts of suicide. I'd planned my whole funeral. I thought of multiple ways to die, but then I started the medication treatment. I was doubtful, but after a week on the meds, things changed. I had more energy. I wasn't as sad. And the intrusive thoughts were gone, just gone. I actually thought about a future, and I wanted to be around people again. I was healing. But the scariest part of all of this, I am not the only one. I am just a statistic. 1 in 5 US adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 20 in the US experience serious mental illness, meaning bipolar or schizophrenia or a major depressive disorder. 1 in 6 youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. 50% of a lifetime of mental illness begins at 14 and 75% of it at the age of 24. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34. The second leading cause of death for a 10-year-old is suicide. We need to be talking about this, not only for our adults, but for our children. It's hard to ask for help, and sometimes we don't know what to say, but there is help out there, and you can ask for help in many ways. There are therapists, there are family doctors, pediatricians. You can have therapy done online. There are books, and in communities, there are classes that you can take on suicide prevention called QPR. There's also an international group called Mental Health First Aid that teaches you about the signs and symptoms of someone in a mental health crisis and how to help them. There is so much help out there. We just have to talk about it and be advocates for it. So while I have provided this talk today, the scariest thing for me is while I'm standing here, at least one person in the world has already died by suicide. And for each one of us that thinks about it, another person has followed through with their plan. This is an epidemic. We cannot be complacent. We must, especially for our loved ones, ask questions. We need to educate, advocate for mental health supports, and we need to love, because there is no greater gift than love. And it comes in all shapes and sizes. If you love someone, talk to them and tell them that you're concerned. Resiliency is absolutely something that each human being has, and it is a way to overcome the disease that is mental health. Having an optimistic realism about what the world around you is, planning for the future, knowing that it's going to get better, building those strong and healthy social relationships to keep you moving. And having self-awareness and self-acceptance can be, well, awe-inspiring for you. Mental illness is a disease. It is not a character flaw. It can be treated, and you can live without fear, and you can live without feeling alone. Seeking appropriate care can enhance your life. It can give you a way to cope. It can help you remember that there is hope and that you do have a future. You do not have to suffer, and you don't have to be afraid. You can live.